Tamer 2, I'm trying to do a YouTube video here on leadership, and I was wondering if we could...
What do you mean Tamer 2? I'm Tamer 1, you're Tamer 2. I'm the one sitting here relaxing whilst you're doing all the work.
What do you mean Tamer 1? No, I'm Tamer 1, you're Tamer 2. But that's not the point right now. I'm trying to do a YouTube video here on leadership, and there's 1,000,001 videos out there that rattle off lists of traits and generic blah, and really we want to...
Well, don't you think you're just missing the point?
What do you mean?
If you're going to be doing a video on leadership, don't you think you should be showing people how to delegate and inspire others, not just ourselves?
Yeah, but I thought we could, do this ourselves, and then we can talk to other people.
Oh, okay. Yep. You do it yourself. That's fine.
Do you know what? Never mind. I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. In this video, we're going to be looking at leadership. And yes, there are 1,000,001 blogs and articles and books and all of that stuff out there that rattle off lists of generic traits for leadership. But the point that you're here right now still means that you're potentially searching. And what I want to do is something a little bit more useful, is actually start looking at these traits in combination with each other, look at examples and look at why people that are wanting to be great leaders are not necessarily getting there. So what we're going to do, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what differentiates people from being not so great leaders to great leaders, and how to go about doing that. And yes, by the end of it, you can take steps to start becoming a leader today. Ready? Let's go. Hit it. Right, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and rattle a list of generic traits at you, because that's not going to help anyone. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start combining them together and actually looking at how they work with each other, and how, when used together in the right way, they can really be ingredients and recipe for becoming a great leader. And we're going to see how they can also be used in a generic way, where then people become not so good leaders, or just somewhere in the middle where they're okay, or maybe even just managers, because there's a big difference between being a manager and being a great leader. And before you say anything to me, this has nothing to do with personality, by the way. You might say to me, but Tamer, I'm not an extrovert. It has nothing to do with being a strong personality, an extrovert, or any other things. When you look at great leaders in history, such as Mahatma Gandhi, when you look at Nelson Mandela, when you look at Winston Churchill, when you look at Queen Victoria, when you look at Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on and on, their personalities and their approaches of how they do things is completely different. Whether you agree with them or not, you cannot ignore the fact that they're great leaders. So what we're going to do is we're going to start breaking this down. So the first ones that I want to look at are strategy, goal autonomy, vision, and mission, all put together. Yes, you're going to say, generic blah. I'm going to click away. Don't just yet, because when they get put together, you'll see exactly what I mean. Let's get into it. Anyone can set goals. Managers can set goals to their team and say, hey, go away and do that. That does not automatically make them great leaders. What makes people great leaders are when we start looking at all of these combined. And I've got separate videos on all of these in terms of vision, strategy, and mission, all of that stuff. I'll put the links down in the description below. But what I want to start looking at here is more of a bird's eye view. When you have a vision, you're setting something that is really out there. It is unique. It is something that is inspiring, that you've never heard of before, or it's something that really has a lot of meaning, that really captures hearts and minds, where you're saying, I need to be part of this, sign me up. And that's what you want to be saying to people, where you're putting forward that really big, hairy, audacious, inspiring vision that you want to say, if we achieve this, wouldn't the world be a better place? And once you begin to do that, and you should start asking yourself from today, what is my vision? What does success look like for me? What does success look like for my group of people that I'm trying to serve? Why is that destination important? How is it going to impact people's lives in a better way? These great visions are built over time, over experiences, over communications, reading. By practicing day and day and asking yourself the right questions, that's when you can start beginning to get these amazing visions. They don't happen overnight, but if you ask yourself this question over and over and over, it will come. Having that amazing, inspiring vision where people are saying, sign me up to that.
Shut up and take my money.
I want to be a part of that. That's the first thing. And then being able to break that down, because people are going to say, oh my goodness, I want to be a part of that, but I don't know how that's going to happen. That's so challenging. It's so out there. It's breaking the mold. It's not within the current status quo, which is what a lot of great leaders do. They try and break the mold. However, once you've got that, people are going to say, but how are you going to do that? That's just almost impossible. And that's your role as the leader, where you start saying, okay, let's break this down. This is our end destination. And these are potential obstacles that can get in our way. And this is where strategy comes in, because you're beginning to start looking strategically as how you can get to that amazing, inspiring vision. And when you start breaking that down and you're saying, here are some of the obstacles in my way, this is how we're going to navigate it. These are tactics that we're going to do that are really unique and different and novel and innovative. And you can ask people, you don't have to come up with all of that yourself, by the way. Say, right, this is how we're going to achieve it. And here are the smaller goals that we're going to start working towards on a day-by-day basis so that we can get to that vision. And breaking them down into these goals from the strategy, from the vision, that's when you start looking at the big picture and people saying, okay, not only is that person crazy, but they have a plan. And I think it might actually work. And when you start doing that for people, people start going for it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was goal autonomy, because goal autonomy is really important. First, for yourself, because you want to be able to not want to get out of bed in the morning and say, hey, I don't want to do this. You want to be doing things that you love, not being forced to do something that you really don't want to do. So setting goals that revolve around you wanting to do them yourself and getting your team and other people that you're leading to want to do them themselves, having that goal autonomy is going to be very important. Start with yourself first, always start with yourself, become the role model, practice what you preach, but then what you want to be doing is inspiring people in such a way where these goals become not only achievable and inspiring, but something that they just want to get out of bed in the morning.
Good morning, world!
And start thinking about and doing. And this is where goal autonomy comes in, vision comes in, strategy comes in, and the last one is the mission, because that's what you get out of bed to do on a daily basis. This is what you believe in. This is what you want to do. And this is why we're doing it. And asking yourself, yes, that's an amazing vision, but this is why. And these are the goals that are going to get there. And this is strategically how we're going to get there. And this is what we're doing. And it's for such an amazing cause. And when you have all of those put together, that's when the magic really starts happening. And that's when people come on board and say, hey, this is an amazing thing. I want to be part of this. Even though we can see that there's going to be some obstacles, we know how to get there. We trust this person. Let's follow them. That's when you start differentiating yourself from being just a manager or someone who's not very good at leading to someone who's leading. Let's have a look at the next combination of traits. The next combination of traits that I want to look at is courage, making decisions, and dealing under pressure and stress. Generic terms, yes, but when you put them together, they make a lot of sense. And let me explain why. When I'm talking about courage, by the way, I'm not talking about fighting lions with your bare hands or, making decisions. I'm not talking about which chocolates to buy at the supermarket, although that can be very, very confusing sometimes, admittedly. However, seriously, you're going to start making decisions about breaking the mold, going away from the status quo, venturing into new territory. And someone's going to have to make the decision for the first time to do that, to be different. And in the beginning, people might think you're crazy because when you do something very different to what society has accepted as the norm or the status quo, then it looks like you're crazy because you're not conforming. And because you're not conforming, you're going to come under a lot of pressure and stress where people say you're crazy. There's a TED talk by Derek Sivers called How to Start a Movement. I'll put the link in the description below. But here's a clip from the video that he actually showed as well, because he talked about this crazy shirtless guy dancing in the park by himself. When you see him dancing in the park by himself, you think this guy is crazy. You think this guy is nuts. And then it just takes one person to follow. The first person who follows that person, who's just as important as a leader, by the way. And when you're beginning to look at your leadership and when you're beginning to look at how to lead, you need to be able to find that second person, because that person who makes the first decision to join you as a leader can also be, in the beginning, them taking a step outside their comfort zone and them taking a step where they are joining someone potentially who other people consider as crazy. And that's when people will then start joining you, because when they see that other people are joining you, then actually it becomes a whole thing about FOMO and fear of missing out. And oh my goodness, this is amazing. But it's right at the beginning where you need to start taking those crucial, risky decisions where you will come up under a lot of pressure and stress. You will deal with difficult people. You will come across these things inside, whether it's you're running a business or whether you're trying to lead some other community or group, wherever you are, it will always be under a pressure and a stress situation. And being able to remove your emotions out of it and make the right decisions courageously, because you're going to have to make the right decisions. And sometimes the right decisions are not always going to be the popular decisions. Putting those under an umbrella together, you begin to see, right, I need to take emotions out of this. I need to start looking at the inspirational vision that I put in place, the strategy that we've put in place, all of that stuff that we've spoken about. But then when we begin to understand that, we then start looking at what kind of risk factor, and we take calculated risks and make decisions to be able to take those courageous decisions. And when you get to do that, that's when you can start becoming a really great leader. Yes, it's all good and well having that inspirational vision and having the direction and the goals and whatever, but being able to be courageous, take that decision, make those decisions under stress, under pressure, without really getting your emotions in the way, really then becomes a difference between you being a great leader or not. So how do you go about actually getting all of those skills and traits put together and make those decisions and take all of that? I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, so stick around. But by the way, if you're liking this video so far, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because this channel is about how to grow your business by becoming the CEO of your business so that you can get that lifestyle that you want without losing your sanity in the process. Right, so let's get on to the next traits. The final set of traits that I'm going to talk about today are communication, values, culture, and being a magnet. Now, yes, again, generic list, but let's put them together and see what we can make of them. Communication, of course, is obvious. You've got an amazing vision that you want to inspire people to help you achieve, then you need to communicate and inspire them, and you need to be inspiring and all of that good stuff. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. However, more importantly, communication is a two-way process. You've got twice as many ears as you do have a mouth, and that's for good reason. And when people begin to believe that they are being heard and that you are listening to them and that you genuinely care about them and that they have your back when things go wrong, they will go out of their way to help you to achieve your inspiring vision. And this is really crucial here. And that's starting to build that whole culture. And that's starting to build that whole unit, that family of people that are a close bond, that have share the same values and vision and mission and all of that stuff. It's going to be how you start dealing with people and how you start showing people that you genuinely care about them. And that means if you ask them a question, you sit there and you listen, or you stand there and you listen until they finish and actually genuinely listen and care about what they have to say. Because you rushing off and saying, I've got a meeting, catch you later, that's not going to cut it. So being a good leader is about listening to people, is about caring, and is about then becoming that role for the culture and the values and the ethics that you're going to build within the unit of what you're trying to lead and the team that you're trying to lead. The values are really, really important, and they go hand in hand with the culture that you're trying to build. How are people going to communicate with each other? They're going to be looking at you for leadership. How are people going to behave from an ethics perspective? What decisions are they going to make? Are they going to bend the rules? Are they not going to bend the rules? Whatever it is that you have put in place and what you're doing, you are beginning to lay down the foundations of that culture. No matter who joins you, the working culture or the culture that you develop within the entity or the unit or the family or the team that you're building is going to make a huge difference. I'll give you a really silly example. Cobra Kai, which is a TV show on Netflix at the moment. In there, they've got two dojos where there's one, with a bad sensei and one with a good sensei. And they show that bullied students that were very weak and that they were actually morally very good, they joined the bad, evil dojo with the sensei there that had culture and values of strike first, strike hard, no mercy. That corrupted the way they think and the way they behaved, where they saw that this person is listening to me, this person is caring about me, this person has got my back, I need to do what they're doing to succeed in life. And that is what people are going to be looking for in your team towards your leadership. And you will see that people then who joined the other dojo, the good one, how they started behaving, and actually people that switched around from one dojo to the other, how their minds got either uncorrupted or corrupted, whichever, depending on which way your values lie. The culture that you build, the values that you lead, the way that you communicate, how you act, how you become a role model to your team is going to be really, really crucial. And by doing that, you're also going to start attracting the right people that will then form the team that you're going to build so that you can achieve the vision that you're aspiring towards. And being that magnet is going to be really important. Again, when I refer back to that TED talk that showed that video in the park, that person was very much potentially considered crazy until they had the first follower. What that person did, crucially, right at the beginning, when that first follower joined, he then treated him as an equal. And he showed him that he can dance with him. And so there is no leadership here. This is not about me. This is about the mission. This is about what we're trying to go towards. We're trying to start a movement. And that's when people started joining, because they saw how that person dealt with the first follower that actually joined them. And this is how you start building that momentum. And this is how you start attracting and becoming a magnet for the type of people that you want to have to be able to achieve that inspiring vision that you have. Putting all of these together is going to be important. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is, how do I start doing all of that, Tamer? Because it's all good and well you telling me how awesome these great leaders are. How do I go about becoming one? Well, the answer is really, really quite simple. You just practice.
Wax on, wax off.
You keep doing it and asking yourself the right questions and start leading by example. Do what you want other people to do it yourself, and ask yourself continuously, how can I improve? What does success look like for me? Why is this destination important? Why am I doing this? How do I really believe in this? How can I help the people that are around me to achieve this? And how do I genuinely care about them and communicate with them to let them know that I care, to let them know that all of this is going to happen? It's like making rice. The first time you're going to make rice, it might be too hard, and then it's going to be too soft, then it's going to need a bit more salt. And every time you try, you're going to consistently improve and improve and improve. Simon Sinek actually made a really good observation. He likened becoming a leader to falling in love. You don't know which day you fell in love, but over time, little bit by little bit, as you're talking with the other person and interacting with that person that you're going to fall in love with, one of these days you wake up and you say, wow, I love this person. And it's the same thing like driving a car. You can't sit there and start driving a car straight away. You do all of these little step by steps. If you go to the gym, you can't sit there and build muscles overnight. It's those little bits at a time that you're doing sequentially, incrementally, every time. And you learn from the mistakes and you say, well, that's a mistake. I made that. Let me do it a different way. And keep asking yourself, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if? Why? What does that success look like for me? How am I going to improve? Asking yourself these questions continuously and being able to start looking and saying, right, I need to have these groups of traits put together so that I can start working my way to slowly improving them. And before you know it, you'll be doing all of this and more. Because like I said before at the beginning of this video, people aren't born to be leaders. People aren't born with great visions. People aren't born amazing communicators. People aren't born any of that stuff. Through experience and through asking questions and through interacting with people, through mentorship, through other ways of being able to do that, slowly can begin to acquire all of these traits. And then you sit there and then you practice and practice until you fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. You're not going to wake up one day and say, right, today I switch on my leadership thing. It's not going to happen. But one day you will wake up, if you've done all of these things incrementally, you're going to wake up one day and you say, hey, my team has just sent me an amazing thing saying, thank you for being an awesome leader. And that's what matters. You can't call yourself a leader. It's when people call you a leader is when you truly are a great leader. Okay, so if you want to know how to build a really inspiring vision, then this is the video for you to watch and click on right here. That's going to walk you through what a vision really is and how to go about developing one. Thanks.